I don't know, and it's a layer of that. Yeah.
Hi, team school committee. Sorry, I'm not there in person.
Thank you. Meredith, come back. Phosphorescent in here. Very bright. Yes, it's here. You can see that. Oh, okay, yeah, you got a point, huh? Yeah. I'm wondering
You
how
were
many
like in the
people
dark.
watch Dark Shadows, if anyone tries to see it.
Can you see better, Beth?
Oh yeah, I can see fine.
Oh. Yeah. Just for the pictures.
I can just check on the switch when we turn it. It's fine. Okay. I'll shut it down and turn it.
Right, yeah, it's only time.
The lights.
It's only time to get it.
Is this for work?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not there, I have a conference. That's why the conference is. Tuesday, so I might be back.
Okay, I think we are ready to get started. Call this meeting to order at 7:06 p.m. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
Of America,
to the republic
for which it stands,
under
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the meeting minutes from our meeting on the 24th of March?
Yes. Yeah.
Any
Yes.
edits? If not, could I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes of March 24th, 2026.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to the acknowledgement of visitors. Thank you, Kayla, for joining us tonight. It's always appreciated. Has anyone received any correspondence or community input? No. I haven't.
I have not.
Have you? No? Okay.
I have not.
All right, I guess we can move on to the examination and authorization for the payment of bills.
There is a bill in front of you for a total of $134,982.63. The only thing unusual differing from food service, supplies, and special education related items as well as tuition to Swampscott is something called NRG Business Marketing. I had no idea what that was. Called Chris. Turns out that that is the firm that provides our schools natural gas. So they're the natural gas provider, as opposed to Superior Propane that does the gas for the greenhouse. So I'd never seen NGR Business Market. $4,600, but they're the gas supplier.
Okay.
Otherwise than that, pretty standard items.
Could I have a motion to approve said bill roll?
Motion to approve the bill roll presented at the April 7th, 2026 school committee meeting in the amount of $134,982.63.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to the superintendent's report.
Yeah, I have a couple items and it's accompanied by some photos.
Yeah, thanks.
Before we look at the photos, the
Move that around.
FinCom is meeting fairly regularly now on Zoom. They're meeting again on Thursday night. And then Friday night, they're doing all their articles and recommendations because they're up against the last few weeks before everything has to be printed and all that sort of stuff. And they are still wrestling with the concept of the size of the override request. And they're looking at, I'm sure how this actually happens structurally, of having two different versions of an override. The $1 million override that Allison's talked about, and then a more moderate override of about 650,000. From what I can tell so far, I have to be bird dogging the meeting Thursday night, is there's no change in the educational part of it, but there's some questions, and it was a public meeting, about the size of the fire department share of that override, which included 4 additional firefighters. And I don't think they're against the concept, but about the fate of the override if it didn't pass, as opposed to doing something and then I don't know how you then do something the next year or the year after. So that's the subject of discussion on Thursday night. There was a lot of what the right word is, discussion is better, about whether the override size would be supported or not. So beyond that, Thursday night's a pretty important night. It's a 6:30 meeting. It's on Zoom. See them have a public comment section to it, so it's more of a watch and listen. But there was no take out that item from the school committee. The announcement we had for school committee, which were the expansion of the math and ELL interventionist to full-time, continuation of the stipend for the greenhouse, keeping the amount for professional development back where the required amount was, and then not dipping in as strong into the circuit breaker potential as we had originally done in the level service model. So sort of way back to the fall when it's like, that number's kind of high. You need to keep some of that back. And the override version kept more of that back, kept it back in the 200s, not the 300s, in terms of the dip into that. So it doesn't sound like that's part of the discussion Thursday night. But I just wanted you to know that it's still in flux in terms of what the FinCom will put out as, I guess, their recommendation. And that theoretically happens Friday night, I think, again. But they may make a recommendation Thursday night and then do all the warrant articles Friday night. But those seem like two pretty important things. Patty was at the last one. And the discussion centered on talking to the fire chief about needs and rationale. And they weren't saying it shouldn't happen. I think it was more of a concern about the capacity.
concerned about the hit to the residents
Yeah.
of Nahant over Island.
And then a discussion about full-time employees versus part-time people. And whether inflating the salary of the part-time people would attract them and keep them here, as opposed to employing them as a staff member. I won't get into the politics or logistics of that, but the fire chief was pretty adamant about what his stance was. And it's just an important meeting that'll happen Thursday night. So beyond that, if you're a basketball fan, you've been watching March Madness, and you've watched the women's basketball team and some of the behavior at the end of the game. Not the final game, but the one before, which I thought wasn't very appropriate as a former coach of girls basketball. Sort of a walk out, not shake hands kind of thing, which was a little disturbing. The men's turned out sort of different than I thought it would. So certainly lived up to the term March Madness. And at RES, there is MCAS fever going on right now, not March Madness, following right after that. And I just have to say that I think the school and Heather have really taken on the idea of making the test important to kids and saying, this is important. So this was a sign that was on the fence today, that the scores matter. And I don't think kids at this age realize that, well, it's not part of high school graduation requirement anymore, but our scores weren't really what we wanted. And you don't want to get into a sort of bribe situation and all that, but you certainly want to have a level of anticipation and excitement about the challenge of the test. So this was the sign that the kids were confronted with today, presented with. Yesterday, they had a clap out, which was kids lining the hall. And then the kids are going to take the MCAS walking down through while all the kids were cheering them on and wishing them good luck for the next day that was going to happen. So I just thought that's inspirational. It's not a bribe situation. It's hey, this is important. This is important to us as a school. And the kids were very happy about that, big smiles on their face as they walked out. And the young kids really took it to heart that it was important. And they don't necessarily take MCAS yet, but their excitement was there. I don't know who did this. Probably Heather was involved in it a lot. Was the decoration of lockers. So all the kids are going to take the MCAS lockers. Never give up, Wilson. You can, Lila. Stay focused, Anthony. Show what you know. When they came in, this was all on their lockers today. And this one here was also there. Believe in yourself, Reed. Do your best, Amelia. You can, Greta. And that means a lot to a kid, I think. There were personal notes that were also put out on the lockers. Make this one a little bigger. Galileo, trust your gut. It knows the answers. I believe in you. You are a smart cookie. Believe you can and you will. I mean, inspiration and motivation are really, really important parts of our lives. Believe in yourself, we do. Hung on your locker in the morning. Whether they did these themselves, Heather can say, or whether they had them printed up in advance, but inspirational pencils with sayings on them. You got to kind of read sideways. That one in the middle there, if I can turn my head. Never give up. You got this.
So
This test with everything you've got.
this test was
The kids got the pencils, taking the test with it. I just think that's a sort of unique way. And then the biggest one was younger kids writing to the older kids, almost like a pen pal situation.
Every student got a letter.
I hope you do good on your test. Good luck on it. I hope you finish with a smile. You're so ready for this. And remember, forget the fuss. You already are an A+. That's special. And I think the younger kids later on are gonna expect that same thing done for them when it comes time for a test. So I just wanted to celebrate Heather and the teachers. None of this was my idea. It had absolutely nothing to do with it. I used to put them all in the gym at high school and tell them that, you know, this whole high school depends on you getting these MCAS scores right. And that maybe meant something to some kids, and other kids it didn't mean anything. I think young kids like this, something like that. And there was a food cart that went around, so kids all got a snack. Just a real positive day. So ELA was today, NAP was Thursday, and then
Raise this week. And then
NAP is later on in science and ends it up in May.
Yes.
So hopefully, it's not the reason why our scores might be better. I think the reason why our scores might improve a little bit are the fact that A, you've got a different cohort of kids, one way or the other. B, we have that new math program that should now be hitting the streets in terms of traction. And just the fact that I think I can sense that the kids are engaged and excited about being here at school.
I agree. I think it's great acknowledging, because the tests are a big deal. And saying you've got this, and I think that's wonderful.
So I just wanted to celebrate that because usually I'm talking about something I did. It's all everything Heather. She just told me, hey, we did this. Wow, look at that. Well, I was inspired and impressed by that. That's my
As a parent, I'm so grateful to the school for really raising the bar another notch in terms of test culture. And against the backdrop of so much political stuff, right, around the MCAS exam, at the end of the day, we're teaching our kids how to tackle challenges like tests in the world, and we are using the results to make our education better for them, right? I mean, that's really all it is. We have to know how they're doing. And the fact that you were able to wrap it in this package, and I agree with all the trappings and the lockers and the sign I saw driving up this morning. But watching my kid get up this morning, pumped, my fourth grader, to tackle the MCAS and not talk about scores or anything like that, just like I gotta have my big man breakfast and then I'm gonna go to school and we're gonna do this thing and and which books he's gonna bring and it was awesome. It's like how it should be. I feel so grateful and I was kind of looking forward. I wish I was there in person, but I was looking forward to this part all day because I wanted to say just huge gratitude for creating this culture, both of you and all the teachers, Kayla, Tessa, everybody, Britt.
It was a great place to be today. I mean, it really was. And
I bet.
you're right, Beth, about that sort of political culture that's around us without going into any of the details. Kids are affected by that. And this is their safe place. This is where they come to be with each other. And it's not perfect, but it's a place they want to be. And that's really, really important. My book, it's the holy grail of the whole operation. I'm done with mine.
So to piggyback on that, I want to thank the teachers for being so open to new ideas and wanting to create something for the students. I put a survey out asking like who wants to be on a committee, who wants to be, I was going to do like a pep rally during one of our last December films that you can thank you for doing. And the timing wasn't enough time to really pull something meaningful together. So then I pulled them all together and was like, okay, so you signed up to help in different ways, but we're all going to do this. So we came up with a whole bunch of ideas, the pencils, the locker tags and the flap out, all that came from teachers just sitting in a group like this, brainstorming our ideas and then being like, I'll do this, I'll do that. And everyone kind of pitching in and making sure that we're all supporting each other. And then pulling some of the ideas like the snack cart and things that I've done in the past for kids, because some kids come without anything in their belly. So even some kids are like, I had breakfast today, should I take a snack? I'm like, of course you can have a snack, everybody gets a snack. So like, go bros, giving a thought my introverted. So the kids really appreciated that, and lots of thanking of us in so many ways. One student said to me, like, it was so cute, the little kids made us signs, it just made us feel so good today, and just the motivation and excitement that they had just shows that we're not looking at the test as like this is something you have to do and it's going to matter, and they know it matters because it shows what they know. And we've shared with students that the main thing is like being engaged in your learning, and this shows us what you know, and this also helps us to know what we have for your curriculum and the different things. This tells us what's working and what's not, and it's no different than the assessments that we do on a regular basis, but if this one gets looked at a state level. So do your best, and that's all we ask of you, and take it seriously. I mean, we're very clear with expectations and teachers' motivation to students, and the expectations and practicing was perfect. Like the kids were more than prepared, which made me really proud of every single one. So kudos to my staff and to the students for doing their best work today. So that whole PBS culture that we've been building since the beginning of the year really overlaps into this, where the younger kids, like even preschool today, going to use our gym, completely silent through the hallway, going like this, holding the signal and going through. And when they went into the gym, they started running around. And one of them said, like, they're not testing in here too, are they? So like they understood that there was a test, and that they're learning young that this is the culture of our school, and that there are important times that we all have to honor learning. So that was one of the highlights of Johnson's. And then also just the communications with families and helping them to understand that, if you just look at MCAS, what's advertised, people think like, oh, I thought we weren't doing MCAS anymore. And the true fact is that we don't use it as a graduation requirement anymore. But giving lots of insurance throughout my notices of my parent emails showing like, here is what it is. Like, this is how you can prepare your child, getting a good night's sleep, having breakfast in the morning, and that we do this assessment for the reasons I just shared with you, so that they understand the importance of it. And we had only 2 absences today, and one of them was someone who was sick, and the other was a family who had something to do with a vacation, wasn't vacation, but something connected with their family medical loss. So nobody was like in late, kids were on time, everything was great. So thanking the families for being very supportive in that respect. And then shifting off of MCAS, we had our K2 movie night this week with kindergarten. That was in the cafeteria. So that was a success. Parents were excited. I want to thank Callie Doherty and Sheila Aswad for running that and being so attentive to making sure there weren't any shenanigans in the bathrooms that we've had in the past during movie night. So they made sure, I think they hired a high school kid to stick out there to make sure that either that or was like, you're grounded and you have to watch the bathrooms or something. I don't really know. But it was covered, and they were really thoughtful about that. And then working with us to come in beforehand to check the technology and do the things that they needed to do so that it was successful. Well planned on their end. And then our kindergarten and preschool registrations went out. We're slowly receiving them back. I put a deadline of the Friday before vacation just to get people getting the stuff in. Yep. Don't need to do less.
Uh-oh.
I feel like I fill out the same forms every year.
I know.
Over and over again.
No, but it's a pet peeve of everybody, you know.
And we did cut back though, we made it so that there weren't duplicates of the forms within the forms. I was very attentive to that. We do have to do like the typical forms that we have to fill out, but, with that, it's looking good. So I think, I feel really confident that the pre-K is gonna fill up quickly and they're probably gonna have a good one. Wow, it's really,
I better get on.
yeah, it's like, it's going. So, that is great news.
What is the max capacity that?
So there's two regulations for preschool. One of them is if there are 5 or more students who are on ed plans, you can only have 15 students in a class. So what we do is we have families fill out, there's a box in there, like is your child getting early intervention, those type of things, because those are almost like predictors of, or does your child have an IEP? Then we look at their age groups of the 3s and the 4s that come. So if the 3s have 5 or more, that class can only be 15. If not, then you know. So we're currently at 20 for both the classes. Some days are not as heavy as that in the 3-year-old group right now. But the 4-year-old group is this year is completely full. So those numbers will take first precedence to the students who are currently students here that are 3s and 4s now. That will be 4-year-old group. And then from there, we'll fill in.
And I know there are some families who have 3s that were in like, daycare type programs that they just kept them in. So I know that there are other 3-year-old kids in
That
town
will be 4.
that will be 4.
Mhm.
So.
And there are also some families choosing retention. So that's another factor. So some families think about retention and think like, my child's not ready for kindergarten, so I'm going to keep them another year in pre-K, and that's a thing about, choice.
Mm.
So there are a couple kids also that are choosing to do that. Not, but,
That's wonderful. That's great to hear.
I want to thank Miss April for all the hard work of getting all of the forms and listening to me make her rewrite them 80 times. It's just like anything else, She's great. Today she's chasing me down the hallway. Look at this one last form, and I'm like, okay, oh, good. So, I just thank her for the amount of time and attention she's put into that. Great.
That also bodes well for like the size of the classes that will be.
Going into
Yeah, and I think that last year it was a big class too. But
Yeah.
listening's grade is big.
Yes, exactly. So what we have to be looking at is the numbers of students coming into kindergarten. So as those are trickling in, we're also sending out to people on the census. We're assuming those are going to probably take a little bit longer for people because they don't really know the process, but they haven't been part of Johnson yet. But we're hoping we can figure that out quick and really hopeful the numbers don't go too high because then we're going to be faced with too classes. Hoping it stays at the one.
Yeah, it would actually be lovely to get back to
Yeah,
where we were.
that
It's nice to see, families moving in. And nice to see children coming out of school.
Did you
and
say how the overall numbers looking pre-K?
for next year, they're looking pretty full.
So they're basically about the same size.
As a base. But we still, just knowing the families that we have, not all registrations are in, but
Yeah,
knowing
yeah.
if they can everything, so.
Heather, is there any information on any leaves that you're expecting out of the 3rd grade into the 4th grade for next year?
3rd into 4th,
3rd to 4th.
not that I'm aware of.
Okay, that's a good sign at this time of the year. In past years, we've seen some exodus from, people saying in third that they're going to go to the charter and in fourth that they might leave to go somewhere, right? And so I was wondering if you heard of anything like that.
Yeah, last week I got a notice, I guess, from Desi about charter pre-enrollment numbers.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
there was no real change from the present number of kids that are in charter. So
Yep.
I didn't see a jump in any of those grades. The kids that are there right now who haven't come back seem like they're staying. But
Yep.
the numbers per grade move forward one notch,
Yep.
not gone up. At
That's
least
excellent news. That's great.
Yay. I didn't know that.
Kudos to both of you.
I know.
That was really a big issue for this.
Speaking of numbers, our health update, I wanted to just kind of, because the last few months we've had a lot of illness. And so things are looking good. I think it's because of the weather changes. Well, although we can't talk about today, because today was weather changes and everything. Not at all. So we had no cases of COVID or influenza A right now. So this is great news for this past month. We did have one case of influenza B and 2 cases of strep. And we're seeing lots of stomach virus. So stomach virus is going across all grade levels, and the nurses are being very proactive to checking temperatures and making sure that kids are not, I mean, if they're sick with fevers, so, yep, and lots of hand washing and just really making sure kids know, use sanitizer, wash your hands, don't be sharing and don't be holding hands because everyone's going down the hallway. So that I wanted to just give you an update because it's actually better than what it was in the last few months. It's been really high cases and a lot of absence for the students. So just, even today, just when we had it's 2 kids today.
That's amazing.
And then let's see, any other updates? Oh, good. Second grade's going on a field trip on April 16th to the aquarium. And so they're excited to be going on that trip. Still trying to work out the logistics with the bus company, but we think we're good to go. And then obviously school vacation's coming up and kids are ready for that. So especially with the testing, they left it in exhausted today. That's coming soon. But overall, like strong commitment to learning that I've seen throughout the school, and the kids are invested and engaged, and everyone's in good hands. Thank you so much.
Moving on to any personnel updates.
The personnel updates we have, we're going to be looking at interviewing for special education positions for the teacher and the OT position on the Monday after vacation. We have just a few applicants, but we have applicants, so we will do those interviews. We have not posted the special education director position yet. That is forthcoming because we are trying to be strategic about the amount of time we are able to utilize in comparison to what we've been spending. So thinking about the amount of money that we spent in the director role over the years based upon an hourly wage, and could we possibly fit in something as a salary at a, so you're getting more. Okay? So instead of getting like a day and a half with lots of additional hours, could we first get some amount of salary when we know we'll get more hours? Like, yeah. So yeah, so I'm trying to play around with that. The only thing is like the health insurance component to that. Once they get into that, they would need a health insurance. But I think it would save us in the long run. I'm not sure. So it's personalizing things on how keeping Rob abreast of what happens. So that's the those hiring positions, you know, oh, then the preschool position, I have it posted and we have a couple applicants, but we're gonna hold on before we, interview for that. A little bit. Give a special ed one.
Do we have any old business, Rob, that we need to?
Well, old only in relationship to Beth's question. I looked on the spreadsheet and these are pre-enrolled and I surmise that every year, if you're in a charter school, you've got to pre-enroll, because otherwise 1,553 New Bedford kids would be making their first time move to a different school. That could be school choice and whatever, but Nahant shows 2 4th graders, 1 5th grader, and 2 6th graders for a total of 5 who would be at Marblehead Charter next year. And that's basically where we are this year, 5 or 6. So there's not a big jump in those numbers there from that sheet of pre-enrollment anyway.
And I also just remembered there is a first grader coming from the charter back to them for next year. They did a tour of the school with their mom and dad. And she'll be coming
Incoming as a first grader or coming as a
as a second grader.
That's great. Great.
A new business.
Okay, we would have the approval of the new 5-year tuition contract with Swampscott Middle and High School, which we had gone over at the last meeting. The terminology and aspects of the language in the contract are unchanged. The difference again is in the amount per year, because it's not based on students, it's a yearly amount. Right now it's 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5 for the 5-year. And remember the suggestion that they had, which we discussed, was 3.25, 3.25, 3.5, 3.5, and 3.75. And when we looked at the number of kids that would be enrolled at Swampscott Middle and High School in the future, especially in year 4 and 5, there was a fairly large jump in that. So again, I think those numbers are reasonable. I think it's better than going with a per student cost. Can't be predicted in Swampscott, can't be predicted here. So you have an established amount, but it is higher than what the last contract was. Swampscott will take their own action on this based on my call to their superintendent in relationship to our vote tonight on Thursday. So theoretically, we would have a new 5-year contract with Swampscott Schools for middle and high school. And the contract is silent in its language about the 5th and 6th grade discussion issue, whatever you want to call it. That would be handled at a separate time if it ever came to that discussion. It's not in the contract wording. There's no reference to it whatsoever. So that would be the proposal. Oops.
Does anyone have any questions regarding the proposal? From a numbers perspective, Rob and I went through it one Friday night. I think we were both a little insane that we had nothing better to do on a Friday but look at numbers and go back and forth, back and forth. But I think it's very that I was pleasantly surprised actually with their proposal. I think it's very good. So if no one has any questions or comments, or I have an option to approve the 5-year.
We need to do this year by year. Or do we need to do this motion year by year or just a general?
I don't
I don't
think
think
so. As presented, I think works,
Okay,
you know, for this situation.
Yeah.
And you could do it either way, but I think as presented.
Motion to approve the agreement for educational services between the town of Nahant and the town of Swampscott for a 5-year term as presented at the April 7th, 2026 school committee meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yay.
Next is to look at
Do I get
dates.
to sign it?
Oh, yes,
Because they're
no, because they're the author of the contract. I mean, I have one you could sign, but they'll be providing the signed version and then giving us a copy. They're the author of the contract.
So they want to sign it first.
Yeah,
we
they'll
both- we
print
have
out
to
the
do that.
final version, sign it, and then present it to you to sign off with the Nahant School Committee. It's our contract, but they're the
Yeah,
ones
I just
offering
got,
the contract to us.
I couldn't remember who
And-
signs it first.
Well, I think it was more about who voted it first. And we had to be the first to
To
vote.
vote on.
The actual signatures, once they voted to have authorized their chair to sign. And you're authorizing our chair to sign. And then when that is, and paperwork.
Moving on to the school committee meeting, future dates.
Yeah, I gave you a copy of the school committee projected dates. They are mirror images of this year's dates with the actual number of the day changed. The only thing we had talked about, and I didn't put it in there and strike any meetings, would be to, if possible, on a case-by-case basis, if it looked like you could meet one a month, that you could certainly do that if you thought that was politically expedient and okay to do, as opposed to meeting every 2 weeks. We've done that a few times this year. You've probably done it a few times in the past. This schedule is the same 2 meetings a month as the one you have now. The only one that says if needed is the first one of July. So you'll have your first June meeting no matter what. You might not have your second June meeting, depending on whether there's budget transfers or not. And the one in July, last year we took July off. We picked up again in August. So it would start with August 18th. And that would be the opening of school reports and goals and that sort of thing. And then 2 meetings in September, 2 in October, et cetera, right down the list. So that would be the proposed school meetings.
How do people feel about this calendar? Because I know during our last meeting, there was a very, very brief discussion about is too many. Could it be compressed to one? Curious to everyone's thoughts. I do want community engagement. I really don't know what the answer is to that. How do you think this?
Patty, can you say that again? I can't hear you. Sorry.
Sorry, Beth.
That's okay.
We're basically talking about our 2 meetings a month needed. Can these be compressed to a meeting a month? And the other being, how do we increase community engagement?
How do we what?
Increase community engagement.
In our school committee meetings?
I mean, I guess I question whether having fewer meetings might drive more engagement during them. I know it sounds crazy, but like, would you be able to make a bigger deal out of them and try and get more engagement if there were fewer of them? I don't know if it just might be one of those crazy phenomenons where like people are just like, well, it's every 2 weeks, like, so they just never come. I don't know.
I really don't know. I'm stumped with this one. I really am.
Because the other thing it might help with is like, it might help attract more people to even get on the school committee. Like, I know that we're potentially losing a crucial member of our school committee, and we're going to have to replace that person. And people are, people's lives get busy, and we have to replace school committee members. But it's the fact that it is every 2 weeks driving people away. I'm saying that's just too much, like.
Yeah, yes, I would say yes. Having looked for people to be on school committee, that is definitely a factor that comes up. Greg, you're right.
So like, would we be doing better by the school by doing, sometimes less is more.
Mhm.
And my question is like, what about the bills? And the other thing is, we could always have a method where if something comes up, like, okay, we need to have a meeting, like, whatever the public meeting notice laws are, we'll comply with and put a notice out and have a meeting.
As I look at these dates, I think you could, since you have an opening of school meeting in August, and goals that you would have the September 8th one, school started, good or bad, and people are interested in what's happening in the enrollments and all that kind of stuff. I think you could possibly strike the one on the 22nd of September, have it as a if needed. I think you could do the same thing in October. I think you could have October 6th and not have the 20th. I think when you get into November, you've got probably 2 months that you ought to keep, 2 a month because of budget.
Budgets.
And then after that, when you get into January, I think you could go back to one a month and as needed, and probably be able to not have agendas that last forever, and be able to make that work. And then you would be having the first Tuesday of the month, the second one if necessary, and we could take out those ones that I just mentioned, leave the two in November and December, and then take out I almost think the one that's January 5th, you're coming right back from Christmas vacation, I would drop that one and have the one on the 19th. And when you get into February, I'd have the first one of the month,
Because you're dealing
drop the
with
23rd. In March, like it is, like we just got through, drop the second one. April, drop the second one. You got into May, you probably could drop the second one. And in June, the one after school gets out, unless there's budget transfers, which you could have it if necessary, quick meeting, I think you could drop that. In that case, it would be a schedule that was August 18th, September 8th, October 6th, November 3 and 17, December 1 and 15, January 19, February 2nd, March 9th, April 6th, May 11th, and June 8th, with the ability to schedule a second one as needed. And then folks that maybe it's coming off of that first meeting and the things aren't resolved, it's gone late, and you're gonna then pick up that next meeting. Have it as a placeholder possibility, but not have it on your posted agenda. And then shift the topics around so it'll fit that schedule.
And you'd be okay, like, bill roll wise, if we went down to once a month?
I think it's even that you folks could come in now and approve the bill roll one by one if you wanted. In the summer, I think you authorized me to do it, followed by an action that's already happened. So depends on your level of trust. I think it could be sent out in advance for folks to review. And if it's like, what is this gas thing or whatever? Otherwise than that, unless you've got a rogue administration creating different purchases, you really shouldn't have a problem. And that seeing it in advance and authorizing the superintendent to act on your behalf, but you still have a quorum come in and sign, I think you could do that. I don't think you have to do it at every meeting. We didn't do it at all in Rockport. It just happened in the back in the financial world of the finance and the superintendent. We never had a here's the bill roll for Rockport. I don't know what they do with Beverly and Danvers. You folks are watching your money. It's one of your responsibilities is budget. But I think you could do that.
Is the twice a month bill roll based on pay runs?
I'd have to ask Chris, but I don't think it's so so essential that the bill roll couldn't happen.
That's what I'm
Like most-
wondering.
Most businesses are every 30 days.
Yeah, and it's the timing of when the bills are due. The only ones I can see being a
Yeah,
problem are
but
any
I had a particular
contractors.
vendor that
They
was
said that.
operating on a shoestring.
Payment
Would
terms.
We're not doing
require
that anyway.
every 2 week action, you could do that. But I think most of the other stuff, I'll ask Chris, but I think you can get by with once a month on bill roll.
So do we have to like do this by motion or?
On
I know
the
you left, but
dates,
we were just talking about acts in the last meeting, basically, except January, keeping the second meeting so that we're not all coming back from the holidays and having to
Understood.
dive right back into things. We don't want to hurt ourselves.
But at the same time, you don't want, parents to be like, oh, they're not open, they're not transparent, they've reduced the number of meetings, right? So it's like finding that balance for everybody.
But again, I mean,
I know.
we have, I think, enough data to support the number of meetings isn't changing. Transparent, I mean, just it's not like the issues are going to change or anything like that. So I think we give it a shot because I think it'll help us, as I said, with recruiting as well.
I mean, we were,
Beth,
Yeah.
how do you feel about going down to once a month?
I'm actually a big fan. I would much rather like dive in at once a month. I think it would be, except where Rob feels that we need more because of what's happening in the cadence of the school. I liked kind of how you went through, Rob, and were strategic about where we're lighter or heavier.
I do too. And then question for you, Heather, are the two people doing promoted? I know with the budget, the budget, but are we doing it for everything? Maybe
I think we started to, last year, if you had asked me to do that, I haven't been religious about that. Putting it on parents' square, put the agenda there, encouraging people to come.
Well, I
I'm not
guess
sure when we did, it was a big swell of attendance, but,
the other question I have is if we're doing it once a month, then is it more doable to do it at an earlier time, like 6 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock? Because like, at least for myself, I could see myself being able to say, yeah, once a month I can make sure I'm there by 6 o'clock, but twice a month makes it harder. So maybe that is another option to try and, I don't know if that'll get people here or not, but
I don't know. I think it's much easier once a month if you're trying to get earlier start.
that's what I'm saying.
Because people, once
Because
their
people
work
can say
schedule.
once a month, I can get there early, and I know an hour is not a crazy amount of time. But, they do it here with six.
No, not for anyone that's over.
No. Again, a lot of,
I'd be there with the 6 o'clock, fine with it. And you could always have those first 2 months of September and October where you're only having one meeting. Do this sort of trial, and then all of a sudden it just goes south. You say, sorry, we're back to 7 o'clock. And all those placeholders, those are coming back.
exactly.
In response to
like,
community
yeah.
input.
Yeah,
community feedback.
no, I mean, we would always reserve the right to say, no,
Modify the
we're going
time.
back, as we do now, I mean.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to have the 2 in November and the 2 in December, I think.
Yeah.
You're gonna be up against budget. And then if it's been a comfortable fall and up to Christmas break, and there's not a groundswell of one way or the other, I think the earlier time, drop into once a month. And as long as the bill roll works out, I think is a good way to go.
Would 6 work for you, Bob? Would 6 work for you, Heather?
But we both travel and we stay. So right now we get out of school at 3 o'clock and we wait till 7. There's no going home and coming back. Where if you lived, in Swampscott, might go home, have dinner, and then come back. And I stay, she stays.
Yeah.
And it's good work time, but it also means a meeting. If this was a meaty agenda with a lot of discussion and a important issue would be 9:15, 9:30, time you had wrestled that around. So having a 6 o'clock one and having a bigger agenda sort of begs to move it forward, either maybe 6:30, but I, 6 could work. I mean, Beth is got another job that she does. I'm not sure how that works in her world.
Ask you, Beth, would that work for you or?
6:30, a 6:30 start?
Yeah, or six.
Yeah. Yeah, I prefer it.
Yeah.
I can make, 6 and 6:30 on Tuesday should be fine.
And again, Beth, we could give it a shot. If we
Yeah,
realize
let's try it.
it's
Yeah,
just working, then it's just not working, and
right,
we'll
right.
it. But I don't know. I mean,
I think it's worth trying.
gotta give it a shot.
We
We gotta try something.
on Parent Square.
My family would be happy about that.
The
Yeah,
times earlier
like
and,
it's doing the same thing and expecting different results. What's
Exactly.
Totally.
Temporary insanity or the definition of insanity.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that again, I don't know if we need to wait and talk to someone about the bill roll or if we need a motion or how we do this. I think we should do it so that people in town can hear about it. And
I can't believe the bill roll is a problem.
I can't either.
If it's one or two accounts, and they have to be done separately through separate, school committee all comes in and signs it, we could probably arrange that. I think for Chris even, it's probably a situation. And you would be provided it in advance, you know what it was.
Yeah.
I think it's worth trying.
So, do we want to vote on this?
I move to have the 2026, 2027 Nahant School Committee meetings be held on July 14th, 2026 if needed, August 18th, September 8th, October 6th, November 3rd and 17th, December 1st and 15th, January 19th, February 2nd, March 9th, April 6th, May 11th, June 8th, 2026 and 2027, or as needed during that time, and for the start time to be changed from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. until further notice.
Great. Second.
Okay, I got 2 seconds. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so as we're talking about school committee meetings, I would like to propose that we have a school committee meeting next Tuesday, so that we can finalize our discussion of Rob's evaluation. I know we're meeting this evening, but we have to do the evaluation. Does that work for?
I can do it.
We wouldn't have the meeting 20 days.
Correct. And we would cancel the meeting at the end of the month.
We pick up at the May cycle.
Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
Beth, does that work for you?
It does. I'm just checking. I think that next Tuesday Orion has a game. Yeah, so I couldn't do before 7 next Tuesday.
How about 7?
I can do 7. 7's great. Yeah.
Yeah, Greg, your motion didn't change the remaining meetings of this year's 6, right? We're gonna hold 7 through this cycle. It's next year's.
Yes.
Yeah. So it would be 7 next week, Beth.
Okay.
Excellent. So we have a meeting next Tuesday at 7, and we're canceling the meeting at the end of the month. And then resume the normal schedule beginning May. Okay, with that said, if there are no other items, could I have a motion to adjourn this meeting and to move into executive session?
Motion to adjourn at 8:02 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Republic.
Oh, yeah. Motion to adjourn at 8:02 p.m. and go to executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A1 to discuss a personal matter and not to return to open session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, everybody.
Thanks, Rob.
Good night, thank you, Rob.
Good night, Rob.